pregnancy. Now, what do you think is the cause for teenage pregnancy, and how can you, how would you approach it? What would be the intervention for that? Based upon the drive theory.
Well, as you know, sir, the
Well,
drive theory is when someone is being driven by the id, by your pleasure seeking. So basically, if the person does not know, for example, if the ego of the person cannot, well, do the balance between the id and the superego, this will, well, result or end up in having an issue. So, well, what I can suggest is at the later stage or when the person is still young or um, there must be some education to, well, explain the person or, well, illustrate the situation to the person that he may understand and how to be aware, how to prevent or avoid those bad issues.
Okay. And so you're correct. So the issue there would be one of need. So you may want to know, what is it that you need? What is it that's driving you? Is it
Right.
just a feeling that you have? And so then the issue becomes one of discipline and control. And that's where I think you're talking about when you said the ego, which is really the self-discipline, right? But then there are different, for example, some parents may say it's okay for their 12-year-old to have a boyfriend and to date and even go to clubs and come in late at night. So that would be the super ego, wouldn't it? Because that's the value. So the parent then sets the value. So if you have a parent, for example, who may be permissive, right? As opposed
what
to
about peer pressure, sir?
right, peer pressure also, but also in terms of the the value of that family system. For example, there may be some family who may not allow their 12-year-old daughter to have a boyfriend, period. There may be other parents who said, okay, it's okay. There may be some parents who may say, look, you can't be out of the home without calling me, and I know where you're going, and you have to be home at a particular time. Now, there may be parents who have no such rules. So if those parents don't have any rules, then you can then account for maybe some of the problem a 12-year-old maybe run into, because they're not mature enough to be able to process all of that. So basically, if you are counseling a mom and dad and a 12-year-old and they're all in your office, then how will you approach that issue? Because remember, the 12-year-old would probably want to stay out late, and maybe the mother is saying it's okay, and maybe the father is saying it's not okay. So you are in the middle of all of this. What would be your recommendation, and how would you approach it? Do you
Well,
understand
well,
my
sir,
issue? Hmm.
sir, at
Hmm.
first, first you have to get the confusion out because right away the child is confused because both parents are not on the same terms. Because the father is saying it is not okay, but yet still the mother saying it is okay for the child to go out and to do whatever he or she wants to do.
Okay. So what will be your position? Obviously, you have to have a position, right?
Yes.
How do you get your position across? I mean, whose side would you be on? Where would you? I mean, would you take sides? Who would you be supportive? Would you support the 12-year-old? Would you support the mom? Would you support the dad? What would be? How do you approach a situation like that?
Um, no, sir. If you are doing the counseling, like to counsel both parents and child,
Mhm.
I don't
Eh,
think it is wise. I don't think it is wise for you to take side either parents or child.
okay. So if you are a therapist or a minister that hold to the Freudian view, that is your position. That's how do you begin to unravel this family crisis? What are some of the things that you will be focusing on based on the fact that you are a Freudian or a person who believe that our motive, our behavior is being driven that way, and that you have that structure of the ego, the structure of the super ego, and the structure of the id. How are you now going to help these people through this crisis?
Sir,
Yes.
I think the first thing that we need to do is to look at what well basically attracts the little girl to go out or to stay out in the midnight. And once we do so, we will know how to deal with it, because basically in order to resolve an issue, you need to know what causes the issue. So, and we can do the comparison between how the world is today, how the streets are, how dangerous it can be for the child if, well, the person continue to stay out in the midnight. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying, sir.
I do. So you may want to have a topic such as asking the young lady, what is it that she wants to achieve? What is it? What is her need?
Yes, sir. Because
And go ahead. And then she would begin to explain that. So, and then you would want both parents to just listen
yes,
at that
sir.
particular point.
Sir,
Yes.
one of the reasons I say that is because when the child is well, basically around 12 years old. This is the latency stage. This is
Mhm.
where the person should well learn to develop some skills. I don't
Right.
know if you understand. So if it is well like a skill or something that the child wants to learn to develop, because at this stage the libido or is not focused on seeking things like sexual pleasure or things like that, but just to develop skills. So I think we can deal with that just to know what attracts the little girl and try to put it near to her, or to in order to avoid her to go out at the midnight.
Okay. So you've done that. Now, since the mom is recommending that this is a good idea, the next question would be, what is the mom's motive? What is it the mom wants for her daughter? What is it that you want as a parent? What is it that put it on the table?
Yes, exactly.
And once the mom puts what she wants, then you turn to the dad and say, what is it that you want? What is it that what's motivating you with by saying that she shouldn't be able to have these privileges? What is it that you're afraid of? What are some of the issues? So things such as danger, safety, all of those things are now going to come up, and so everybody can, which, and then you can even go back to the girl and ask, do you feel safe, and maybe even use other illustrations of other things that may have happened or some of the things that could happen, because what you want to do, you want to trigger in her to move from just the basic instinct to now begin to have judgment values. What are some of the which you now going to tap into the ego strength, because you have the id, you have the ego, you have the super ego. However, what you want to be careful about is not to impose your value onto the family system. What you want is for the family to begin to look at their values and see if there is some areas in that system that they want to change. In other words, let's say the young lady may be already sexually active. Then the mom, what is her view on that? Then the mom may say it's okay provided that she has birth control. So now the mom wants to now get her birth control. Now, the dad at this point is almost ready to flip. I mean, he is, you could see he's getting angry at this particular point. So now you have this situation. How are you going to calm this situation down and bring it back to some where we can now have a discussion and arrive at some meaningful conclusion? Are you with me?
Yes, sir. We are, sir.
Because these are the issues that do happen within families that never get to be discussed in the congregation. So what you as the minister might notice is that they used to sit together, but no, they're not sitting together anymore. But you don't know why. You follow?
Yes,
And
sir.
they may even give you excuse as to why. You know, and it may be just like, you know, oh, I'm running late. Or this what? Oh, you know what? I can't see. I didn't wear my glasses today. So I really can't see all the way down. So, you know, they will give all kinds of excuse, but there is a serious problem because people don't feel comfortable when they go to church. The hat they're wearing is the super ego hat. In other words, they want to appear righteous. They want to appear good. So they performed, basically. So you're not going to see much id activity. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
They're not going to, even if someone was hungry during the worship service, you know, they try to hold it. You follow?
Yes, sir.
They try to hold it in. So what you want to do is to begin to develop, you know, programs so that you can get to the point to why are you not sitting together? What's going on here? Has something changed? So as a minister, you can have that kind of discussion. You can say, Rosie, I notice you're not sitting with your husband. Is there something changed? Is there something happening? You know, do you want to have some discussion? And then she may say, okay, yes, this is what is happening. So now she says to you, this is what is happening. What will be your next step?
Well, try to meet with the husband and to look at his side because basically in psychology there is there are three answers. The first
Mhm.
one is the one that the person who is being offended is saying, and the second one is the one or the version of those who are offending the person, and thirdly is the true fact that really happened.
Okay.
So I will meet with the husband.
Mhm. Now, the first thing that you're going to do is to ask the wife permission. Is it okay for me to speak to your husband about this? Can you give me permission to do that? She may say, no, I don't want to because, you know, sometimes he can get violent. She may not use the word violent. She said, no, I don't really want to get him angry. You follow?
Yes.
Let's say this is a guy who, you know, may beat her, physically assault her. Okay. So now she's afraid of that. So instead of telling you that, she may say, look, you know, I don't really want to get him angry. Let me think about this. Where do you go from there?
Well, basically try to put her in a situation that she will feel secure.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first thing that I will do. And after I will talk to the husband privately, not mentioning her. I will not say, well, this is what your wife said to me, but I will just ask him, well, how is your relationship with your wife going on? How is everything? Just to try to bring him to, well, start with the discussion.
Right. And that's a really great approach, and that I think will work. However, what you may need to do is to raise the same. You may want to use something you have noticed. In other words, don't just you say, look, I noticed that you're not sitting with your wife. Is there something going on? You know, you're a beautiful couple, you should sit together. What's going on? Follow?
Yes, I do.
So you're now taking, you're now saying, I noticed this. And then if he didn't cough up and he says nothing happened, this is great, we're happy, da 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 da, then you have to leave it alone. Now what you have to do is to go back now and start working with the wife until she's comfortable to discuss the subject. Then you may want to ask, when you say he gets angry, can you help me to understand what would that look like? You know, angry. Let's portray he's angry. How does that, does he's raising his voice? I mean, you know, please help me to understand what that looks like. And then she may start, you know, but you couldn't, if she start minimizing it, you may want to give her example. I mean, for example, does he hit the door? Does he stamp his feet? And if she start giving you yes and all of those, then you want to say, has he ever hit you before? Follow? Now you sometimes at that particular point, they may go to being silent. Okay. So once they go into that silent mode, and then what will happen is you may notice the head may drop. What will cause the head to drop where they no longer look at you directly? What do you think is happening?
She's consenting to what you're saying, sir?
No, she is ashamed.
Yes. Yes, her value is ashamed.
Right, she's ashamed now because what you're tapping into is her value. Follow?
Yes, sir.
In other words, she's beginning to experience that this is something that shouldn't happen to me. I should be a person of value. So now she's beginning to feel inferior. So where do you go from there once you recognize that? Because that's important. Because we can emotionally abuse people by keeping their shame before them. It's as though you physically hit them with your fist. So how do you now get her through this situation without losing the discussion?
Well, I will try to create the balance between her values and her rational thinking, which is the ego and the super ego.
Right, but how do you do that though in your behavior? Because now what's important, you're a male person, right?
Yes,
The person who's doing the abusing is also a male person. So how do you now reach out and reassure her? What's your next move?
Sir, it's already 1:08.
Go ahead.
Yes, sir. I was just saying that it is already 1:08, so our time is done.
Okay, so we can pick up on this discussion next time, okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now actually I really meant for this class to be canceled, and I left a message to that effect because I'm at the airport. As you notice, I'm traveling. Okay, so for the next class that's supposed to be coming after this, I will have to cancel. So could you pass that message on for me?
Yes, sir. We'll pass the message.
Thank you so much. Okay.
All right, sir.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Yes, sir.